From Pippen being disappointed with how The Last Dance turned out, to him shocking the NBA world by trash-talking Michael like crazy. Here's everything you need to know about the beef between MJ and Pip. Let's kick things off with Scottie's comments about the docu-series. Everyone was singing praises for The Last Dance when it was released, except for Pippen. While speaking to The Guardian's Andrew Anthony in 2020, Scottie explained that he felt the docu-series was more about glorifying his airness rather than giving credit to that Bulls team as a whole. He revealed that he told Jordan he wasn't too happy with it, but according to Pip, Mike didn't have much to say about this. Things didn't seem that bad at this point, though. Especially because Scottie himself denied reports that suggested he was upset about the series. In fact, he claimed that it didn't bother him at all, since everything happened decades ago. But that didn't last very long, and soon his bitterness towards MJ was on full display. First, during a SiriusXM interview in October 2021, he downplayed Jordan's flu game, claiming it wasn't that special. He talked about how no one gives him props for suiting up in the finals with a back injury. Yet the NBA world can't stop talking about MJ's flu game. Then, before anyone knew it, he declared an all-out war against MJ the next month. Scottie released his book, Unguarded, in November 2021. And let me tell you, he didn't hold back, not even a little bit. Scott wrote that both men aren't close and never have been. Plus, he clapped back at Michael for calling him selfish at one point in the docu-series and argued that it was actually MJ who was selfish. Pippen talked about the time Jordan retired in 1993, pointing out that it was right before training camp, meaning that the front office couldn't sign any free agents. And that left Chicago in a terrible spot. Besides that, the book also details Pip's frustration over the docu-series not giving him enough credit. While speaking to GQ about his book, Scottie claimed that Jordan was to blame for the way he and his teammates were portrayed and felt that the producers had given Michael editorial control of the final product. In fact, he was so angered with the end product that at one point in his book he wrote, "How dare Michael treat us that way after everything we did for him and his precious brand?" Yikes. Pip added that things were made worse by the fact that MJ earned over $10 million from The Last Dance, while none of Jordan's teammates even earned a dime. That being said, the main issue he had was the lack of recognition he got. Okay, we get it. But is he right to feel that way? Well, you can argue that in some ways, The Last Dance didn't do justice to Scott's contributions to the Bulls dynasty. For example, his iconic one-liner from 1997 didn't make it to the docu-series, and that left Pippen fuming. For those who don't know, let me explain. When Chicago faced off against the Jazz in Game 1 of the 1997 NBA Finals, the score was tied at 82 with 9.2 seconds remaining. Karl Malone, aka the Mailman, was at the charity stripe. So to get into his head, Scottie told him, "The Mailman doesn't deliver on Sunday." Malone, who was a decent free throw shooter, bricked both shots, and then MJ hit the game winner. According to Pippen, this should have been included, and honestly, it's hard to disagree with him on that. As he pointed out, if it were MJ who delivered such a line, it would have been on full display in The Last Dance, so that left Scott feeling like he was nothing more than a prop. But that's not all. Pip wrote that while his steal from Game 6 of the 1997 Finals made the cut, it wasn't given much attention. Instead, the docu-series focused on Michael's pass to Steve Kerr, treating his airness as an unselfish hero. But the Bulls wouldn't have even had a chance at that shot if it weren't for Scottie's efforts. I mean, it's understandable why he feels as if his Hall of Fame career wasn't given the treatment it deserves. Though at the same time, it's unfair to say that the docu-series didn't give him any credit at all. Case in point, there's an entire episode dedicated to Pippen, and I'm sure you guys remember how much love and support NBA fans showed Pip following that episode. That only happens if you're shown in a positive light. On top of that, Jordan himself praised Pippen in The Last Dance. MJ reminded fans that he didn't win anything without Scottie, and said that's why he considers Pippen to be his best teammate of all time. Not to mention, his airness said that if someone mentions his name, then they have to bring up Pip's as well. But clearly, this wasn't enough for Scott. Instead, he didn't even accept the praise and called it condescending. But here's what doesn't make sense to anyone. A lot of Scottie's hatred for MJ seems to be coming out of nowhere. They had amazing chemistry out on the basketball court, winning 6 rings in the span of 8 years, and not once did it seem like things weren't okay between the two. Plus, they're widely regarded as one of the greatest duos in NBA history because of how well they mesh together. And no, this wasn't a case of them acting professional because they had to. Because even off the court, they had a great bond. After all, Jordan was constantly showering his teammate with praise in the 90s. In fact, when Phil Jackson appeared on Stacey King's Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast in May 2023, he revealed that after the 1992 Olympics, Mike called Scottie the second best player in the NBA. But that was nothing compared to the heartfelt compliments his airness gave Pippen in 1997. After defeating Utah and winning their fifth ring together, Jordan couldn't stop talking about Scott. According to the legendary player, Pip meant a lot to him every time he stepped foot on the basketball court, especially because he relieved a lot of the pressure that Michael had to deal with. MJ added that he tried to do the same for Scottie, before saying that he couldn't keep the finals MVP all to himself. Instead, he wanted Pippen to take half of it. What's more, he told Scott, "You're my MVP." If you thought that was it, then you'd be wrong, because Jordan also said that Pippen deserved the same amount of money as him in the 1998 season. Not to mention, he highlighted that the duo shared their success. And of course, there's also Mike's Hall of Fame speech, in which he specifically thanked Scott for all of his efforts. So, I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't sound like the dude Pip's been talking about since 2021. To make matters more confusing, Scottie's Hall of Fame speech from 2010 is the exact opposite of what you'd expect. Not only did he choose his airness to induct him, but he couldn't stop expressing his admiration for MJ. Pippen said that it was really valuable for him to play alongside a dude who had so much determination and love for the game, before telling Michael that he was his best teammate. And guess what? He claimed that he was going to cherish their relationship forever. Damn, I wonder what happened. Because now he's hell-bent on pushing the anti-MJ narrative. And honestly, his trash talk has gotten out of hand at this point. When Scott appeared on Gimme the Hot Sauce in May 2023, he told the podcast hosts that LeBron's gonna go down as the greatest statistical guy in NBA history, and that there's no comparison to him. Then he brought up Jordan, and only had bad things to say about him. He called him a horrible player, and followed that up by saying that being his teammate was a terrible experience. Wow. Also, according to Scottie, his airness was always going solo and taking bad shots, because he cared more about scoring rather than winning. He also claimed that once the Bulls became successful, everyone forgot about this side of MJ. As you can expect, his comments caused the NBA world to go wild, and many people can't seem to understand why Scottie keeps firing shots at Michael, especially since that guy's only been respectful towards his ex-teammate. In fact, Trae Young thought the video was AI generated because of how hard Pip was hating on Mike, while Reggie Miller said Scottie's choice of words wasn't the best. On the other hand, Brian Scalabrine didn't hold back and straight up said there might be something wrong with Pippen. Also, some think it's possible that Scott's comments were sparked by the news of his ex-wife, Larsa Pippen, dating MJ's son Marcus. Whatever the case, I hope Pippen stops with all of these uncalled for attacks on Mike, cause boy, everyone's starting to lose respect for him. So, from Scottie shocking the NBA world by trash-talking Jordan like crazy, to Pippen being disappointed with how The Last Dance turned out, this was everything you needed to know about the beef between MJ and Pip.